I'm about to show you something that might shock you, especially if you're over the age of 45 and you've noticed your legs feeling heavy, tired, or swollen at the end of the day. I'm Dr. John Marston, and after more than 30 years as a cardiovascular physician examining circulation problems in older adults, I can tell you with absolute certainty that almost everything you've been told about leg swelling and leg fatigue is incomplete. Most people are told it's simply aging, or maybe salt, or maybe just poor circulation. You're told to elevate your legs, take a walk, maybe wear compression socks, and hope for the best. But when I examine the actual physiology of what's happening inside the lower legs, when I look at the veins and muscles that are supposed to move blood back to the heart, I see something very different. I see a system that has quietly stopped doing one of its most important jobs. And when that system slows down, blood begins to pool in the lower legs like water collecting at the bottom of a valley. The pressure builds, the ankles swell, the legs feel heavy, the fatigue becomes constant. And over time, this pooling can lead to worsening circulation problems that many people assume are simply part of getting older. Let me tell you about Eleanor. Eleanor was 72 years old when she first came into my clinic. She was active most of her life. She walked daily. She followed her doctor's advice carefully. She even wore compression stockings every afternoon, but by evening her ankles were swollen, her calves felt tight, and she described a deep, aching heaviness that made her want to sit down after only a few minutes of standing. Her blood pressure looked fine. Her heart tests looked normal. Her doctors told her the same thing many patients hear. This is just aging circulation. But when I examined the muscles in her lower legs, something became obvious. The problem wasn't her heart. The problem wasn't even her veins. The real issue was the system that is supposed to help blood climb upward from the legs in the first place. You see, inside your lower legs, there is a powerful biological pump that most people never think about. In medical training, we sometimes call it the second heart of the body. And when this pump weakens, even slightly, blood begins to move more slowly through the veins of the legs. The pressure rises, fluid leaks into the surrounding tissue, the ankles swell, the legs feel heavy, and the strange part is this: most people don't even realize this pump exists, which means they never activate it. Before I reveal exactly how this hidden circulatory pump works, I want you to do something for me. Comment below the word heavy if your legs feel heavy by the evening, or comment swollen if your ankles look larger at night than they do in the morning. Because what I'm about to explain could completely change how you think about circulation in the lower half of your body, and it starts with a muscle that most people ignore every single day. Now I want to explain the biology behind this hidden circulatory pump, because once you understand it, the entire mystery of leg heaviness, ankle swelling, and lower leg fatigue suddenly becomes clear. Imagine for a moment that the veins in your legs are like long vertical pipes carrying blood upward toward the heart. Gravity is constantly pulling that blood downward. So the body developed a remarkable mechanical solution, a muscular pumping system in the calves. When the calf muscles contract, they squeeze the deep veins that run between them. Those veins contain one-way valves, tiny biological doors that allow blood to move upward but prevent it from falling backward. Every contraction of the calf muscle pushes blood upward through those valves like squeezing toothpaste from the bottom of a tube. First, the muscle tightens. Then the vein compresses. Then blood shoots upward toward the heart. Then the muscle relaxes and the valves close so the blood can't fall back down. It's a beautifully engineered system. In fact, in medical school, we often call the calf muscles the peripheral heart because they assist circulation almost like a second pump. But here is where the problem begins. When people sit for long periods, or when the calf muscles gradually weaken with age, this pump stops firing often enough to move blood efficiently. The result is something we call venous pooling, blood collecting in the lower legs like water sitting in the bottom of a swimming pool. That pooling increases pressure in the veins, which pushes fluid outward into the surrounding tissue. That's the swelling you see around the ankles, that heaviness you feel in the calves, that aching fatigue that appears late in the day. I saw this mechanism play out in a patient named Harold, a 76-year-old retired teacher who came to see me after months of worsening leg fatigue. Harold was diligent about his health. He walked occasionally. He took his blood pressure medication, but he spent most of the day sitting and reading. By evening, his lower legs felt so heavy he described them as bags of sand. When we measured the circulation in his lower legs, something remarkable appeared. His heart function was perfectly normal, but the return flow of blood from the calf veins was dramatically reduced. The pump simply wasn't activating enough during the day. Studies have documented this exact phenomenon. In 2021, researchers publishing in the Journal of Applied Physiology followed older adults with mild circulation problems and introduced simple calf activation movements, not intense workouts, just controlled muscle contractions. Over several weeks, they measured significant improvements in venous blood return from the lower legs, not 10%, not 15%. In some participants, the improvement approached 30%, which is enormous when we're talking about circulation. And this is the part that surprises many people. The movements that activate this pump are incredibly simple. They don't require a gym. They don't require running. They don't even require standing. But before I show you the first movement that reawakens this pump, comment below sitting if you spend more than 4 hours a day sitting down, because the next part of this conversation explains why that single habit silently slows the most overlooked circulation system in your entire body. Now we need to talk about the second mechanism most doctors overlook when they talk about circulation in the legs, and it explains why simply walking once a day often isn't enough to fix the problem. You see, the calf pump doesn't work like a normal muscle that you activate once and then forget about. It works more like a traffic control system for blood flow. Imagine a long highway where thousands of cars are trying to move uphill. If traffic lights only turn green once every few minutes, traffic backs up quickly. But if those lights cycle constantly, traffic flows smoothly. Your calf muscles act like those traffic lights. Every small contraction pushes blood upward, preventing that pooling pressure from building inside the veins. But here's the issue. Many people over the age of 60 activate those muscles far less often than they realize. Sitting in a chair for hours, watching television, working at a computer, or even reading can keep the calf pump silent for long stretches of time, and when that pump remains inactive, the pressure inside the veins slowly increases throughout the day. Fluid leaks outward, the ankles swell, the legs feel tired and heavy. I saw the opposite effect in Margaret, a 70-year-old woman who came to my clinic complaining of ankle swelling every evening. Her doctors had already checked her heart, her kidneys, and her blood pressure. Everything looked normal. But when we began activating her calf pump using very small daily movements, something remarkable happened. Within a few weeks, her evening swelling was dramatically reduced. The heaviness disappeared, and the aching fatigue she had accepted as normal aging began to fade. The reason is simple. Once those calf muscles started firing repeatedly during the day, they pushed blood upward more efficiently, reducing that pooling pressure inside the veins. This is exactly what researchers observed in the Journal of Applied Physiology circulation study I mentioned earlier. Participants didn't perform exhausting workouts. They performed controlled calf activations several times throughout the day, and venous return improved steadily over weeks. Now I'm going to start showing you the movements that reactivate this pump, because these are the same gentle exercises researchers use to stimulate circulation in older adults. The first one is incredibly simple. Sit in a chair with both feet flat on the floor. Slowly lift your heels while keeping your toes touching the ground. Hold for a moment, then lower the heels back down. That small motion contracts the calf muscle and squeezes the deep veins inside it, pushing blood upward through the one-way valves. It looks almost too simple to matter, but physiologically, it's like turning the pump back on. Another movement involves sliding one foot backward under the chair, bending the knee slightly, then extending the leg forward again. This motion activates muscles around the knee and calf, encouraging blood to move through the lower limbs, even while sitting. And here's something I want you to do right now. Comment pump if you're willing to try these calf activations today, or comment swelling if ankle swelling is something you deal with regularly. because in the final part of this discussion, I'm going to show you the complete sequence that activates multiple leg muscles together and turns your lower body back into the powerful circulation pump it was designed to be. Now I'm going to show you the complete sequence that reactivates the lower leg circulation pump, because once you understand how these movements work together, you realize something powerful. Your body already has the mechanism it needs to move blood efficiently from the legs back to the heart. The problem isn't that the system disappeared with age. The problem is that most people simply stop activating it often enough. Think of the muscles in your calves, thighs, and hips as a chain of pumps arranged vertically along the legs. When they contract in sequence, they push blood upward step by step, almost like a series of escalators lifting people from one floor to the next. When those muscles remain inactive for long stretches of time, that escalator shuts down. Blood slows, pressure builds in the veins, fluid leaks outward into the tissues around the ankles and lower legs. But when the muscles activate repeatedly, the escalator starts moving again. Blood flows upward, pressure inside the veins drops, and the heavy, swollen feeling that many people experience begins to ease. The first movement that activates this system is the seated heel lift. Sit in a chair with both feet flat on the floor. Slowly raise your heels while keeping your toes touching the ground. Hold that contraction for a moment, then lower the heels again. This motion squeezes the deep veins inside the calf muscles and pushes blood upward through the one-way valves that prevent it from falling back down. Performing this motion repeatedly encourages circulation during periods of sitting, which is important because long periods of sitting are one of the most common reasons the calf pump becomes inactive. The second movement builds on that activation by encouraging gentle motion in the knee and ankle. While seated, slide one foot backward beneath the chair so the knee bends slightly. Then slide the foot forward again, extending the leg comfortably. This small movement activates muscles around the knee joint and helps maintain circulation through the lower limbs when a person is seated for extended periods. As strength and balance improve, standing movements can be added to the sequence. One example is a supported weight shift. Stand behind a chair or near a stable surface and slowly transfer your body weight from one leg to the other. This encourages muscle engagement in the calves, thighs, and hips while also supporting balance. Another functional movement involves rising from a chair and returning to the seated position in a controlled way. This sit-to-stand motion activates several large muscle groups at once, including the thighs, hips, and calves, which work together to assist circulation. Some exercise routines also incorporate a controlled heel-to-stand flow, where a person lifts the heels slightly while standing and bends the knees gently while holding onto a stable surface. This coordinated motion activates multiple muscles in sequence and encourages blood to move upward through the veins. Research examining circulation in older adults has shown that gentle, repeated muscle contractions like these can improve venous blood return over time. Health organizations such as the Cleveland Clinic, the Mayo Clinic, and Harvard Health Publishing frequently emphasize the value of regular muscle movement and joint activity in maintaining circulation and mobility in the lower limbs. These exercises are not intended to be intense workouts. Instead, they are slow, controlled movements designed to keep the muscles engaged throughout the day. The most important factor is consistency. Performing small movements regularly, especially during periods of sitting, helps keep the calf pump active. Many people find that incorporating these movements into their daily routine makes them easier to maintain. For example, heel lifts can be performed while sitting at a table or watching television. Weight shift movements can be practiced while standing near a countertop or chair for support. Sit-to-stand exercises can be integrated into normal activities such as rising from a chair during the day. Over time, these simple actions encourage circulation, support muscle function, and help maintain mobility in the lower body. I'd like you to participate for a moment. Comment movement if you plan to try one of these exercises today, or comment legs if you've experienced heaviness or swelling in your lower legs before. Every comment helps more people discover information that can support mobility and comfort as they age. And if you know someone, perhaps a parent, a grandparent, or a friend, who often complains about heavy or tired legs after sitting for long periods, consider sharing this information with them. Many people assume leg discomfort is simply part of getting older, but gentle movement and muscle activation can play an important role in maintaining circulation and independence over time. If you'd like to learn more about how different parts of the body support circulation and mobility, consider subscribing to the channel and exploring more educational videos like this one. Understanding how the body works gives you the tools to care for it more effectively. The human body is remarkably adaptable, and small daily habits, especially those that keep muscles moving, can make a meaningful difference in how we feel and move throughout the years.